Merry Christmas. I know it's February, happy Black History Month, but today we were given a gift. A gift we didn't expect, but a gift we deserved. The woman responsible for Donald Trump's mugshot appeared in a Georgia courtroom today for a hearing about whether she should be disqualified. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who's charging Trump with election interference, hired her lover to prosecute the case, paid him hundreds of thousands of dollars, which he used to take her on romantic vacations, foreign and domestic, and didn't disclose the relationship to anyone and didn't report any of the gifts he gave her at all. When Fani and her lover, Nathan Wade, were caught, they both lied to the court about when the relationship started, saying they started sleeping together after she hired him, and also claimed Fani paid Wade back for all of the trips. But right as the hearing began, their entire defense blew up when an eyewitness, Fani's longtime friend and employee, testified under oath that she saw Fani and Wade going at it.
Did you observe them do things that are common among people having a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Such as, can you give us an example?
Hugging, kissing, just affection.
All before November 1st of 2021, correct?
Yes.
That alone is grounds for Fani's disqualification and destroys the Trump-Georgia case for at least 2 years. So Fani and Wade's lie didn't even last until lunch. But as the hearing went on, we witnessed a hilarious display of some of the most preposterous lies and behavior that have ever been displayed in Fulton County. Fani's lover boy took the stand and immediately got Alzheimer's.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
Ever?
Ever.
No.
You've never gone to a cabin with Miss Willis?
No.
So Loverboy got off to a slow start. And then he admitted he was going over to Fani's condo all the time before she hired him, but not for sex, for documents.
Isn't it true that you would go to Miss Willis's house in South Fulton County occasionally?
I've never gone to her house in South Fulton County.
You've never gone to her house in South
I've
Fulton
never
County?
seen her house.
You've never gone to a condo in either the East Point or Hapeville area with Miss Willis?
Wait, that's different. I have gone to a condo in Hapeville.
You would have been there, as you indicated, for many reasons, right?
Yes. Miss Yurdi resided there, went to visit her, maybe went to talk about a document that I received.
You would go to the condo
I
to talk
needed
about
to
a
see.
document that you received?
Absolutely.
Were any of the other attorneys visiting Fani's condo, reviewing documents? No, just Wade. After Fani paid $700,000 to prosecute Trump, Fani and Wade traveled the world together. How did they pay for these romantic trips together? Wade put it on his corporate card. But don't worry, Fani paid him back. They say, in more ways than one. Their story is Fani reimbursed her lover with cash.
You said in the affidavit that you roughly shared travel, though, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this roughly sharing travel, you're saying she reimbursed you.
She did.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
I was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Yes, ma'am.
And you purchased all of these vacations on your business credit card, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Cash. How convenient. Now, I've met a lot of businessmen over the course of my career, and I've never encountered anybody who puts all of their romantic vacations on their corporate card and has their boss, who they're sleeping with, pay them back in cash and then deduct it as a business expense on their taxes. But Wade is a different breed. Wade says his law practice is mostly a cash business.
She was very emphatic and adamant about this independent, strong woman thing, so she demanded that she pay her own way.
Do you know the source of the cash?
Just that, out of her pocketbook. Yes, sir.
You don't know where she obtained the cash?
I didn't ask her.
And the whole time that she was paying you in cash, you never said, hey, why do you have this amount of cash?
Why would, Mr. Sadal, in my practice, people come into my law firm all the time with cash. I never question where they got it.
So the lawyer who's allegedly saving democracy by prosecuting a former president, an unprecedented case in the history of the United States, is a personal injury attorney who runs a law practice where clients regularly walk into his office with briefcases of cash, and he doesn't ask any questions.
Did you go to the ATM with her?
No, sir, she didn't go to the ATM. She carried the cash.
Oh, and so she would give you the cash. Did you have a little place in your house where you just stack up all this cash that you apparently got to repay you for these benefits that you bestowed on her?
Now, Mr. Gillen, if I answered that, I'm putting myself in jeopardy. If I tell the world that I have cash someplace in my home, don't you think that could be problematic?
All right, so who in the world would tell the world that they have cash at their house? More on that later. Now, after Wade had been totally discredited, Fannie's attorneys tried to prevent Fannie from being called as a witness. When out of nowhere, Fannie rumbles into the courtroom in hot pink and demands to take the stand.
And then suddenly he's changing. She files her financial declarations.
Did you meet with Mr. Wade and talk to him about the motion that I filed to disqualify you?
On January, this first January motion?
Yes.
I don't know if you could say talked about. I probably had some choice words about some of the things that you said that were dishonest within this motion. So I don't know that it was a conversation. As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
For the next 2 hours, Fannie was a hot mess, flailing and filibustering.
I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial. I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be.
Not so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis, it'd be an adverse witness. Your interests are opposed to Ms. Merchant's.
Thank you. Merchant's interests are contrary to democracy, Your Honor, not to mine.
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this. Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth, Judge. And it is a lie. It is a lie.
Now, after the judge admonished everybody, Fannie admitted she and Wade had been dining out together for years before she hired him.
Maybe I went to his office once or twice, but maybe once.
And the purpose for going to his office would have been what?
Maybe we would have went to Mellow Mushrooms for pizza, or maybe he would have come for lunch. I'm sure we went by each other's office, though, but not often, not a lot. We both grinded.
Oh, grinding. But they went to more than just Mellow Mushrooms. They went to Latin America, the Caribbean. And this was the part of the testimony where Fannie was able to exhibit her intellectual credentials. Credentials that you'd expect the DA prosecuting the former president to have.
You also said that he was a world traveler and had been on many of the continents.
I've been to 6.
Have you been on any of those continents with him? Besides this one?
Where's Belize? What continent is that? I'm not being funny. I don't know.
Let's say with the
I've been
exception
to
of
the Belize with him. I've been to the Bahamas with him. I've been with Aruba with him. Don't embarrass me. I'm not sure what continents those are on. Whatever continents those are, that's where I've been.
Okay, Aruba's in South America, Belize is in North America. She sounds like she's on the streets getting quizzed by Johnny. They also went to Napa together. All of these trips going on Wade's business card. So what's Fannie paying for?
I paid for a bunch of stuff. I think we did 2 different wine tours that you do, which are pretty expensive. I think I bought him. He likes wine. I don't really like wine, to be honest with you. I like Grey Goose. I bought him a bottle of wine while we were there, and the sippings that you do, they would pair champagne, chocolate, and caviar. It was a 3, and it was like 3 different things. Sweden, Russia, someplace else. I'll make that up. But that was the most expensive thing. That trip did not cost me a lot of money. I might have took like $750 in cash on me because we weren't gone very long.
The Fulton County DA is eating caviar in Napa while she's prosecuting President Trump. And her boyfriend paid for the flights with taxpayer money. Where'd Fannie get all the cash from anyway?
I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket. So if that man acts up, you can go where you want to go.
Where did that cash originally come from, if it didn't come out of the bank?
Cash is fungible. I've had cash for years in my house.
The money that you paid Mr. Wade, the cash, in October of 2022, you do not know where that money came from.
I do know where it came from. It came from my sweat and tears.
So the top law enforcement officer in Fulton County, Georgia, just announced to the world that she keeps stacks of cash at her house. And she carries wads of cash with her to Belize, wherever that is. So Fannie proves she's not street smart or book smart and can't show any ATM withdrawals to prove where she got the cash to pay back Wade. Now, Wade testified that he went to Fannie's condo to look at documents. Is that true? What else happened?
Yeah, I'm sure he came to visit. I can remember us going, I think the restaurant's Lickety Split. I can remember him picking me up, going to Lickety Split and ordering some food and coming and sitting at my table and eating. So I remember times that he visited me at that condo.
Ah, yes, Lickety Split. Gotta love that place. Rum raisin, rainbow sprinkles, the best. Now, at this point, the media had seen enough.
This is getting ugly and it's getting messy. And my guess is it's not going to get better.
It's about lying to the court. It's about potential financial gain on the part of Fani Willis. The issue is that her credibility is shot. It's a horrible, horrible look for her. I think this case is dead in the water. Fani Willis lied to the court. It's game over for her. She will be disqualified.
Probably a bad idea to have two sleazy lying lovers waste taxpayer money on romantic vacations while prosecuting the president and then concoct the most unbelievable cover-up in Georgia history. But what do you expect when the jury forewoman was a giggly Wiccan?
What would your reaction be if the DA decides against bringing any charges after what you've seen?
I will be sad if nothing happens. I will be frustrated if nothing happens.
And if it was just a perjury charge?
I will be happy as long as something happens.
These cartoon characters don't have the pedigree to be in the same courtroom as the former president. But remember, this isn't a Fannie and Loverboy scandal. It's a Biden scandal. The Loverboy, Fannie, Alvin Bragg, Jack Smith's team, and New York Attorney General Letitia James have all been meeting with Biden's White House counsel, Biden's Justice Department, or with Kamala Harris. The Biden White House is overseeing the prosecution of his political rival. But just like everything Biden oversees, it's falling apart. Let's bring in Judge Janine Pirro. How do you think today went for Fani Willis?
I have to tell you that she was, without a doubt, the most confrontational, combative, non-responsive, defiant, condescending, arrogant witness I've ever seen in a courtroom, especially in a courtroom, and not be taken away in the county bus and held in contempt at the local jail. I mean, this just does not happen in courtrooms. She walks in and she literally is so angry. She accuses the lawyer right off the bat of lying in her questions where there are sworn affidavits, and the judge doesn't say anything. I mean, the judge just lets her. She's out of control. She says that this lawyer is contrary to democracy, everything she's doing. Meanwhile, you look at Wade. This guy is sweating bullets. He knows he doesn't have any evidence on his side. He knows his claim of getting cash as a reimbursement is ridiculous. And by the way, if this guy ever tries a case against President Trump ought to have 2 drinks. And he doesn't drink, though, and be happy. This guy drank water all for hours. I kept saying, when's he going to the bathroom? I mean, all he did was drink water.
You have been in the legal world for a long time. How familiar are you with the idea of just cash everywhere?
Let me tell you, the first thing that's going to come out of this case is the IRS now has a target on Wade's back. Because, yeah, my clients come in all the time and they pay me cash. And she comes up with cash. Nobody's taking money out. Nobody's depositing money. Nobody's going to an ATM. They're just, but we should believe them. We should believe them. Meanwhile, a woman who was her best friend says, yeah, they were basically sleeping together in 2019. But the woman came in, tried to control the courtroom. And here's my concern, Jesse.
What?
The judge acted like a wimp. This judge should have been offended right off the bat when she tried to run the courtroom. She ran it. He did not.
Why did he pander to her so much?
I don't know. All I can think of is I did a little background. He's just been appointed a judge. So you say he's a new judge. He doesn't know the ropes yet. But he's running for re-election in 4 months, okay? So he doesn't want to tee her off. He doesn't want to tee off the community.
Judge, you remember when the guy was in court, I think it was Nevada, and he just jumped over the...
Yeah, that
I thought Fannie was going to do that at one point.
Well, I think she might have. I mean, had she gotten angry enough. I have never seen a witness this out of control and then lecture the judge, point her finger at the judge and lecture to the attorneys. This woman potentially holds the fate of the nation in her hands as a prosecutor against the president, former president. This is crazy time.
Usually you don't want to announce you keep lots of cash in your house when you're a public official.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd probably leaned against doing when you were running things?
For sure. And by the way, when I was the DA, the chances of me taking 6 vacations in 5 months are slim to none. What DA has that kind of time?
Prosecuting Trump's hard work. You got to blow off some steam.
Well, that's why she hired him. This guy can't try a felony case. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, Judge Pirro doesn't keep any cash in her house at all.
None.
Thank you very much. A bombshell about the Russia hoax that we've never heard before. Plus, Johnny celebrates Valentine's Day. Fox News Alert, part 3 of the investigation into how the CIA framed Trump just dropped. And it changes everything. This week, we learned how Obama's CIA told foreign spies to bump 26 Trump campaign associates, who the CIA thought were, easy marks, framing them for collusion and then triggering the FBI investigation, the illegal wiretapping, and eventually the Mueller probe. We also learned there are classified documents that prove all of this, that Trump might have copies of. And it could be why Biden raided Mar-a-Lago. Now, today, Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi dropped another bombshell. Russia didn't want Trump to win in 2016. Russia wanted Hillary, and the CIA knew it. Russia saw Hillary as manageable and predictable. They were comfortable with her and wanted her to be president. The Russians thought Trump was a wild card, didn't want to deal with that. There was never any evidence showing Putin supporting Trump. Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, knew this and manufactured the evidence. He manipulated other assessments, buried high-quality intelligence, and then manufactured a conclusion that 17 agencies agreed Russia interfered in the 2016 elections to help Trump. And then the press ran with it, and the country was brainwashed. Now, according to these new reports, these were similar tactics the CIA used with the WMDs. This has severely wounded our body politic, warped our minds, and wrecked our trust in national security institutions. We deserve the full accounting of this hoax immediately, every document involved. Thankfully, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger have made great progress, and Mike joins us now. Mike, tell us what this new cooking the books situation really is all about.
Sure, Jesse, it's good to be with you. Well, I think some people wonder if this is old news or maybe if this has been reported. I want to assure you that it has not been reported until now. I can also assure you that there are current members of the House Intelligence Committee that are unaware of a 50-page report that the CIA is currently hiding at its headquarters. There may be other copies elsewhere, but there is a top-secret copy at the CIA proving without a doubt, according to our sources, which are multiple credible sources, that Russia, in fact, favored Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump, in 2016, that they used the Steele memo, the infamous political document commissioned by the Hillary Clinton campaign, to cook the intelligence, as they said, for the early January 2017 intelligence community assessment claiming that the Russians favored Trump falsely. That relied on the Steele memo. That 50-page report continues to exist. It likely exists with the other intelligence information, including potentially raw intelligence documents, showing that the evidence was very strongly on the side, the best evidence was on the side that the Russians favored Clinton for the continuity and stability, that they were concerned about Trump for being erratic and being an unknown quantity, and that the quality of the evidence that contradicted that was much lower, and that Brennan's people manipulated the sourcing, so to speak, the quality ranking given to the sources to come up with really the opposite outcome of what the truth was.
So the election has just happened. Hillary has lost. It was a surprise. They'd already kind of had this CIA, FBI deal working, and then they needed some major assessment that was authoritative. And you're saying Brennan at the CIA just started going like this and moving everything around to create this impression that they interfered on behalf of Trump?
Yeah, that's right. There's actually two separate intelligence scandals here for people to keep in mind. The first one happened earlier in 2016, where our sources, multiple sources, tell us that Brennan oversaw manipulation of our foreign allies to basically entrap Trump associates to create the pretext for the FBI investigation of Trump supposed alleged collusion with Russia, which we now know is debunked. The second thing is, almost a year later, Brennan orchestrates a phony intelligence assessment that comes to the opposite conclusion of what their own raw intelligence, their best intelligence, was showing. These are two massive, massive intelligence scandals. What we're witnessing is the political corruption of both intelligence gathering and intelligence analysis by John Brennan. And these documents, we have been told by multiple people, still exist. They're at the CIA. They need to be released. They're probably part of this larger binder, which may have the other documents to support both the evidence of both of these scandals.
How do we hold Brennan accountable?
Congress has to take action. I mean, as I said, I now know for a fact that there are members of the House Intelligence Committee whose job it is, whose constitutional requirement it is to oversee the CIA, to demand that the CIA be a non-political institution. They need to hold them to account. There need to be hearings on this. They need to get to the bottom of that. We need that 50-page report and the binder and the rest of the documents.
Well, I agree. I'm not relying on Congress to do much of anything these days. I do like the CIA interfering in other people's elections, just not ours. That's a line we can never cross. Schellenberger, thanks so much, and thanks to you, Matt Taibbi, as well. Tell him thank you. So we were right. The Russia space nuke story turned out to be another hoax. Yesterday, the American people were taken for a wild ride by Washington insiders threatening worldwide Armageddon. The media was spoon-fed a leak by the government, and then they've spent the last 36 hours whipping us into a frenzy. Turns out we were right. There were no space nukes. There was no danger. It was a false alarm to approve more Ukraine spending. And while the congressman who cried space nuke is a Republican, it felt like the White House's fingerprints were on this. And wouldn't you know it, we were right again. Congressman Mike Turner now admitting he worked with the Biden administration to craft the language of his first statement that demanded the Biden administration declassify this serious national security threat to the country. But wait a second, the White House told the Times they were furious about Turner's disclosure. But it turns out they were working together the whole time. After sending the people into a mass panic, the White House spent today on cleanup duty, trying to assure us that they are not, in fact, about to be blasted to kingdom come by the Ruskies.
This is not an active capability, but it is a potential one that we're taking very, very seriously.
This is not an active capability that's been deployed. And though Russia's pursuit of this particular capability is troubling, there is no immediate threat to anyone's safety.
It was a ruse. All week, D.C. knew Kamala was going to Munich to pledge our support for Ukraine. So the Senate passed their $60 billion Ukraine bill Tuesday morning, and within hours, Speaker Mike Johnson said the House wouldn't vote on it. And what do you know? The very next day, the sky was falling and Russia was to blame. Now, this isn't the first time Washington's tried to deceive us like this, but usually they're better at it. Here's Kirby still going.
Nothing is more important to President Biden than the safety and security of the American people. That's his top priority, and it's going to remain front and center as we continue to determine the best next steps. Now, if I could just briefly, I want to share a few words about the battlefield situation in Ukraine.
All right, he's like a timeshare salesman. He gets you in the door with the threat of thermonuclear war. But once you're inside, he convinces you to spend all your money on an Eastern European country you probably only visit once. Now, I know at this point we expect our government to lie to us all the time, but they've got to do better than this. World Strat President Jim Hansen joins us now. Jim, not their best effort. What happened?
They were lying and doing it badly. That's the embarrassing thing. I don't want to bust anybody's bubble, Jesse, but the Russians have 6,000 nukes already right down here on good old planet Earth. If they ever decide to cause trouble with them, they don't need to. And if they want to nuke some satellites, they can just shoot one of their ICBMs up there, create an electromagnetic pulse, and shut down everybody's satellites and a good chunk of the electronics down here below it. This was a joke. It was like, they're like this, Russian space nukes. And then they're like, help us, Obi-Wan Biden, you're the only one. It was pathetic.
Now it makes me think the whole Washington game's completely orchestrated. Mike Turner's a Republican. He's on the House Intel. He's the chair. And he's putting out this scary statement. The Biden team must declassify the urgent threat from Russia. He let the Biden White House review the release before he sent it.
There is a bizarre collection of people all obsessed with Ukraine, and it revolves around Trump is the really weird thing. You've got neocons who Trump's ruining their forever war game, and then you've got leftists who hate him for just being Trump, but Putin is a stand-in for Trump. And they're all obsessed with Ukraine and sending them all our money now. And here's an interesting little tidbit. Mike Turner's district covers Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. There's a little thing there called the National Air and Space Intelligence Center. You think they're going to get some money out of this scare?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Just when I thought it was about politics, it turns out, again, like usual, it's about the money.
You know it.
All right, Jim. Thanks as always.
Always a pleasure.
It is DEI Thursday, America.